Okay, so this question is asked to me over and over and over again every single week, and let's just get right into it and answer this question. My name is Dr. Anderson. I am a licensed forensic psychologist. I've been doing this for about 10 years. So, what is the difference between a criminal psychologist and forensic psychologist? So, here's the deal. And how do you do it? Okay, first of all, how you do it, you get a doctorate degree in psychology. Yep, and you got to get licensed. And so you need a specialty in forensics. Forensics means in the court system. In the court system. So I know we think of the criminal court system as the only court system, but criminals aren't the only thing that's going on out there. Forensic psychologists are not just in the criminal court system. They're not just doing criminal psychology things. Guess what? We got plaintiffs in civil court. I've got immigration evaluations. I've got domestic violence restraining orders I'm testifying in. I've got CPS court, family court, bonding assessments, like all kinds of different courts I'm in where people are not criminals. They are not criminals. They are not called criminals. There is no court of law where the judge or the attorneys or the psychologist is going to call the defendant a criminal. So they're called a defendant. And the psychologist is called a forensic psychologist, a psychologist in the court system. And so here's the thing is that a lot of people, we get our information from what we watch on television. And so we watch television, and that's how we got information about what we believe a criminal psychologist is. And so that's just TV and movies. In the real world, I'm a real criminal psychologist, if you want to call me that, but that's not actually what, that term is not used in the legal system. So the real term is forensic psychologist. And when you say analyzes behavior, that's what all psychologists do. We don't just analyze it, we diagnose it. We use clinical assessments, and psychologists are doctors that specialize in assessment and treatment of mental disorders. And if you have a doctorate in psychology, a PsyD, those people are experts in giving clinical diagnostic formulations. And if you're in the court system, the court's going to ask you certain legal questions about their behavior, right? For example, here's a good one. I just got a PC 288.1 sex offender sentencing evaluation, and so I will be doing that evaluation, and I will be looking at their behaviors, right? The past behaviors, their diagnosis, the treatment. There's a lot of different things I look at, but I answer the legal question. So, in conclusion, the answer is if you want to be a forensic psychologist and analyze criminals, if you will, but again, we call them defendants, then you need a doctorate degree and a license. And that takes 10 plus years, and everything you need to know would be in my ebook, How to Become a Forensic Psychologist. I wrote it to answer all these questions. It's 34 pages. I break it down. If you don't want to get a doctorate, you could stop at the master's level and do other things. But if you want to do the court stuff, pretty specific to having a doctorate degree and be licensed. That's the hard part. I do one-on-one consults. You can always check it out in my Stan store. And lastly, I want to say, so what captivated me is strong female women in lead roles, such as Jodie Foster in The Silence of the Lambs. And I watched that movie, and I said I want to be her in real life and do that. And that was my first image of what a criminal psychologist was, even though it was just a movie. And she's actually not even a psychologist. She doesn't even have a master's degree. In the movie, they just made it appear like something else, but the reality is that's not quite what it's like. But if there was anything close, that is the role I actually do in real life. But in the movie, they make it seem it makes people think she's a psychologist, but she actually was in the FBI in the behavioral science unit. And so originally back in the day, the FBI behavioral science unit, that's where they started studying criminals and trying to make predictions about their behavior and assessing them and testing them and trying to understand to solve future crimes. The Mindhunter is a good show to watch to kind of understand the origin of that. Anyway, you heard it here about how to become a forensic psychologist. And yes, we analyze the defendant or the behaviors of defendants, and it's very interesting. I have tons of stories for days. If you're interested in certain topics, post them below. I was going to post something this week about dangerous behaviors where criminals have like attacked or assaulted me. That might be interesting to learn about. It is dangerous also being a forensic psychologist, but keep asking these good questions and I will answer them the best I can. So